Welcome to Wrestling with Heart, a podcast looking at pro wrestlers giving back to their community. Join me, Stanley Carr, as I interview wrestling's hottest names who use their platforms as entertainers to raise awareness and do community service. Hello and welcome to another edition of Wrestling with Heart. This is the show where we talk with professional wrestlers and professional wrestling personalities about their lives in and outside of the ring, as well as doing acts of charity work, community service, volunteering, and spreading positivity. We're always about the positivity here on the show, and with me right now, I've got a very special guest. He has wrestled all over the independent wrestling circuit. He is a wrestler and boxer, and he's got a really awesome story and touching story that he's going to share with us today. I'm pleased to welcome the one, the only, Keenan Bell. Keenan, welcome to Wrestling with Heart.
Man, I appreciate you having me, Stan. Once again, big fan, man. Excited to be here. Big Nashville guy. I love Nashville. I'm from Kentucky, 32 years old. I'm a wheelchair wrestler. I'm a wheelchair boxer. Just looking to spread a little awareness, my man.
Yes. All right. So, yeah, you just said you're from Kentucky. What was your childhood and upbringing like?
Man, I'm a only child. Only child. Mom just had me. I grew up. I had both grandparents. It was a real, it was a tribe. It was a village effect. You know, I grew up with a lot of my aunts, a lot of my uncles played big roles in my life. I come from a family of educators. A lot of my uncles and aunts are teachers. They graduated with secondary education degrees, interdisciplinary study degrees. I followed right along suit. I ended up going to college and becoming a teacher before I decided to test my luck in the ring.
Wow. I mean, coming from a family of educators and working in that system, I mean, it's really interesting and fascinating to me that some of the people I've talked with on the show, they're also teachers themselves in addition to being wrestlers. So that's really cool, you know?
Absolutely. A lot of my I know somebody that's really hot right now. Of course, Hangman Page. He's a teacher. A lot of people don't know that, but he's an educator. Tim Storm, NWA legend, educator. Spike Dudley, ECW legend, science teacher. You know, a lot of people don't know that. And so I try to be from that line, maybe, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Seems like a lot of people from all walks of life, enter that industry that we all know and love as professional wrestling. And for you, what's your story with wrestling? Were you a fan growing up?
Oh man, I have a cousin who's 8 years older than me. And man, my experience with wrestling was I was the test subject in all the moves until I loved it. And I fell in love with wrestling at a young age. I'm 32 once again. I was born in 91. So my peak era was right out of the golden era, right almost into the attitude era. My I was a Bret Hart fan. That was the first wrestling toy I ever had, was a Bret Hart Jerry the King Lawler action set. And of course, you know, with Bret leaving, the WWE kind of started the Attitude Era. So I came up right around that area, right around
Yeah.
that 94, 95.
And the thing about the whole Montreal screw job is it really set the tone for the Mr. McMahon character and the
Big,
whole rivalry with Vince McMahon and Stone Cold Steve Austin. And that led into The Rock and Degeneration X and just this whole crew of characters, cast of characters that fans still talk about to this day. It's unbelievable.
absolutely. And with me being from Kentucky, I was always a Brian Pillman fan.
Hmm.
And there wasn't a lot of us, but I was always a Brian Pillman fan. I'm a big Cincinnati Bengals fan. Brian played for the Bengals for a little bit. And then, of course, with him being from Northern Kentucky, big fan of his son also. Lexus King is killing it right now to me. Big fan.
And he's really, honoring that legacy, and I think he's going to be a future star.
Absolutely.
Hopefully one day we'll see him win that top prize in WWE.
Think
Uh,
so.
yeah, he's just got all the tools to succeed.
He really
So
is. Hard
so
worker.
so Bret Hart was your favorite wrestler. What was it about Bret Hart that just really like?
Now, he was my first action figure. So automatically at that time, he was my favorite. I'm big into technical wrestling and I love storytelling. And when it comes to technical wrestling, there's not anyone bigger than Bret to me in that lineage. Of course, Daniel Bryan, other great technical wrestlers out there, but technicality and move sets and really like holds and locks. Brett introduced me to that. But my favorite wrestler, I'd have to say, is Randy Poffo. Man, I'm a Macho Man guy.
Mm. Ooh, yeah, dig it.
Yeah, Kentucky root,
Ugh.
Illinois. His dad owned a company, Continental Wrestling, there in Lexington. Of course, I'm a big Poffo fan. Lanny, Randy, but the Macho Man, yeah, Macho Man is my favorite wrestler.
What was it about Macho Man that you really enjoyed and was like, man, I want to do this?
Showmanship. Um, Showmanship. Macho Man was a very flamboyant, tough character. The colors were attractive. His wife was from Kentucky. Miss Elizabeth's from Frankfurt, right up the street. So it's always been kind of like, yo, I'm from Kentucky. I'm supposed to like this guy for some reason. With his roots, of course, he played for the Reds for a little bit. I mean, played for the Cardinals. Sorry, played for the Cardinals for a little bit, and then of course, he did a lot of time in Lexington, which is only about an hour up the street. And I grew up with the Macho Man, hearing all the stories about him traveling to local high schools, doing indie circuits in Kentucky, and man, but his showmanship was, and just in the area he was in, they have to collide with people like Hulk Hogan and the Warrior and Ric Flair, and Macho Man. I would say, without Macho Man, you wouldn't have Seth Rollins. To me, Seth Rollins is a modern day Macho Man. He really is, and I really love what Seth is doing with the outfits and the character changes, and I that has to be cut right off Randy. You know,
De- Definitely bringing back those unique attires, that's part of what makes a character so great and it stands out is those outfits, the ring attires and everything. So I've had so many people on the show talk about their training experiences. Professional wrestling, just like a lot of things, it's not easy. Takes a lot of hard work, discipline, hard on the body. What can you tell me about your first experiences attending wrestling school?
well, of course, with me, I took the boxing route in. So of course, I'm in a wheelchair. I'm an amputee, but I started boxing here locally in the town that I'm from, Campbellsville. And I was a teacher, of course, and I was boxing on the side. I've done a couple platforms. I boxed with people from Rough and Rowdy. I don't know if you've heard of that. I've been on Street Beefs. I've been on there, fought. So that was kind of my leeway in, I mean, being in a wheelchair, boxing wasn't going to hold up forever. And I was like, man, I want to be world champ. And my son, he's 11. He had really just got into wrestling a couple years ago. He's a big Ricochet fan. And of course, Ricochet being from Kentucky,
Mhm.
so we take up with him a lot. But my training, I've more so I've gotten to work and learn a lot of secrets from like a lot of top guys in the industry. Anywhere from I've worked with Jay Lethal all the way down to local stars in Knoxville, such as Brad Cash, other local great stars, Deke Rivers, Mike Powers, a lot of great people. I've been in locker rooms with Myron Reed. But the training part, I really started off as a boxer. And for me to become a wrestler, it really wasn't that big of a leap as it may have been for other people, because there's not too much I can really do as far as leg work. So I just learned a lot of technical holds and learn how to be as safe as I can and work as snug as I can. And we got a lot of great training facilities up here in Kentucky, but I learned most of everything in Tennessee in the Knoxville area.
And
Yeah,
the cool thing about your background, like you said, you're a boxer, and there's all kinds of moves and holds that you're able to kind of um, parlay, basically carry over into the wrestling world. So already you just knew right and then and there you had something to work off of. And so
absolutely.
was there like any pieces of advice that you got from your trainers that still sticks with you today?
Yeah, well, not really a trainer. He's actually a friend of mine. Uh, uh, Doug Basham gave me some of the best advice I'd ever heard. He didn't see my disability. He seen me that I was a man and I wanted to do something and I was serious. He told me to get a body and to tell a story. That's what he told me. When I first started, I started out in like the death match scene, Deathmatch scenes can be kind of sporadic here and there, but I wanted to be a legit storyteller. And that's what he told me. He said, I need to get a body and I need to tell my story. And that's a piece of advice that I took from, and of course, I look up to Doug Basham. OVW's right up the street. He's one of the head trainers there with Al Snow. Uh, great, great training facility. That's what he told me, and that's what really stuck with me over months of training. Is like, yo, I need to get a body, I need to be serious, and I need to tell a story in like a different way that inspires other people that are in my situation. You don't see a lot of handicapped wrestlers, and that's what I am. I'm truly could be one of one. And I take big bumps. I try to push it to my extreme. So yeah, definitely get a body and tell a story. Tell your story the way you need to tell.
Yeah, I mean, you got to find what methods work out for you.
Absolutely.
How you're able to move around and do what you need to do. Now, when you're training and you're going through different drills, were there any particular ones that you enjoyed the most that helped you with your endurance and speed and
I'm big on ropes. I like battle ropes. Anything, see, with me being in a wheelchair, my fatigue is going to come from my shoulders instead of my legs. So my shoulders have to, they have to play the part of my legs. So battle ropes, arm bikes. I hit the mitts a lot. I do a lot of bag work for, pushing and strength and pulling. I do a lot of slam bags. So I try to really build my shoulders up to where my shoulders carry me like they're my legs. So my thing is, if my shoulders are built, then I can last forever. And
yeah,
in certain matches, a lot of people, if you're not used to wrestling somebody in a wheelchair, and if you ever find yourself in a wheelchair against somebody that lives this lifestyle 24/7, shoulders go out fast.
really?
Yes, a lot of
Yeah.
shoulder cramp.
Was there like one particular body part or one particular, I don't know, hold or whatever that you spent a lot of time working? Was it the
Absolutely.
shoulder? Was it the
My trunk. Being in a wheelchair, I had to gain a different sense of balance. And so my trunk, everything I do is from the waist up. So my trunk has to be strong enough, my core has to be strong enough to pick me up and somebody else in the wheelchair. I mean, it's so easily just to tumble right over. So
Mhm.
you really have to build your trunk up. So and plus you breathe better. And
Yep.
being in a wheelchair, sometimes you kind of sink down into the chair. And so with me building my core up in my trunk it's helping me breathe better. I last longer. I perform safer. I can demonstrate better holds, better locks. It looks more realistic. It sells better. The better shape I'm in, the better shape the match is going to be because I am different and they have to adapt to me more than I have to adapt to them. You know,
Do you remember your first few matches? What were they like at first?
man, I was nervous. I think the first big feud I had was with a guy out of South Carolina named Lazarus Black. And I was taking my first big bump. He was gonna push me out of my wheelchair in front of everybody and to gain some heat. And I just lost my leg maybe a couple months before, and I jumped right back into the scene because I was commissioner for a deathmatch company in Knoxville called Totally Professional Wrestling. And man, butterflies, man. I was so nervous. I didn't know how the crowd was going to take me. I didn't know once I hit the ground if I was going to be able to bounce back up the way I envisioned. But everything went through great. We programmed for a good couple months, and I ended up coming out on top. So he worked really good. He's a snug worker, safe worker, really good friend in the industry till today. He's actually the AIWF hardcore champion right now, and yeah, he's performing well.
The crowd is definitely a big part in what makes a wrestling match. They are behind the baby face or the heel uh, all the way. 99% of the time they are like behind whoever's like in charge during the match. If it's the babyface working, strong against the heel, or if the heel's dominating, they're gonna be behind them 100%, if not
Absolutely.
almost 100%. Who were some of your favorite opponents to work with over the years?
Oh man. Well, I had Brad Cash. Definitely have a good time working with him. He's a legend in Knoxville. Another good friend. Had great time working with Brad Cash. I have great time working with Mike Powers. He's another one out of Knoxville. Um, I have a great Johnny Suede, Dark Suede. He's up here in Kentucky. Have a great time working with him. You just build that chemistry up with certain people. And the role that I'm in now with the Tennessee Wrestling Alliance out of Alcoa, I'm actually playing a manager for a group, and I'm having a great time. I speak really well on the mic. I enjoy getting heat from fans. I love it. I've been working a lot with the 865 boys here lately. That's Jeremiah Lawson and Hayden Lawson. They're a father and son duo. Hayden has a real future in wrestling. I do believe he's young. He's 18, 19. He's jumping off the ropes. He's everywhere. Big fan of that kid. A big fan of his dad too. They solid programs, very professional. I like working snug. I don't like working stiff. And so I want people to get as much as they can get out of it. You know what I'm saying? When you see somebody get hit in a wheelchair, you feel different. And I
Exactly.
that's what I look for.
It's the sympathy. You
Yeah,
want the babyface to get the sympathy from the audience so that the babyface can remain triumphant all the way
absolutely.
through. Now, when you're on the mic, growing up, who were like some of your favorite guys on the stick?
Oh man, Roddy Piper. I loved listening to Roddy Piper talk because there was no telling what he would say. Big Roddy Piper fan. Of course, Macho Man. I think he has some of the most iconic promos. But when it comes down to it, man, I'd have to say Dusty Rhodes and Ric Flair.
Hmm.
Good old NWA, good old NWA studio wrestling. I mean, yeah, Dusty Rhodes and Ric Flair, their promos back and forth are probably my favorite of all time.
Especially like if you're a heel, man, you're trying to work the crowd and get them angry at you. I mean, Flair cut some real intense promos back then,
Absolutely. Yeah.
back in the day. So, yeah, I could definitely see that,
Yeah.
having
Yeah.
that influences. All right.
Absolutely.
Now you've got a story that you wanted to share with us here. What tell me about what happened in your life that has made you who you are today.
All right. Well, when I was first and foremost, given a lot of love and a lot of love and strength from God and my mother. My mother was actually born with polio, so I've been around wheelchairs my entire life. I'm no stranger to wheelchairs, or And when I was 18 years old, I had a car wreck. I just signed to play college football, and I'd had a car wreck. And during that car wreck, my aorta was severed, my jaw was broken in two places. I had a lot of broken ribs, and it took my ability to walk due from the blood flow, losing blood flow to my lower extremities for 22 minutes. I was in an 8-hour surgery. If you know anything about stitching aortas together, it's like putting wet toilet paper back together. So due to that, the blood flow, my stomach being shifted into my chest by the seatbelt, I was unable to walk. So I've been in a wheelchair for 14 years. And and I still went to college, still graduated college, became a teacher, because I have a strong support system around me. My mom never let me quit. She's been in a wheelchair, she's had polio her whole life. She didn't let me quit. I'm very blessed with a strong support system. Last year, I actually lost my leg when I was 31. I got sick and gained an infection in my leg, and they had to remove my right leg um, from my thigh down. And so, man, I just kind of, I'm a glass half full guy. I'm just kind of out here, just, you know, trying to make memories. Once again, I got an 11-year-old son that motivates me, who loves wrestling. He loves when I box. He loves when I wrestle. He's with me a lot of the times. You'll see him a lot. Um, but I had a tribe that really got behind me during those hard times when I thought that my life did get flipped upside down. But everything, I'm a Job person, man. It'll come back to me.
Well, what I like about you as we're talking here is that you've got a very positive outlook on life. That's what we're all about here on the show. And being, going through that just excruciating pain and having all these, worries in your head and going through all the trauma, the fact that you're still able to be with us and able to work around all these limitations, that's a testament to you and your character and everything that's gone on, every choice that you're making right now. It's great to see that this has flipped into a positive.
Absolutely. And I appreciate that, man. But it is definitely because there's somebody out there worse than me. And it took me a long while. I've not always had a positive attitude about it. It took counseling, months of rehabilitation, even kind of struggling to get back out in the world. I used to be scared of people, but
Really?
now, absolutely. But I broke out of my shell, and I'm just, I had a phobia. I was scared of people. I always wondered what people like, staring at me, or what they thought about me, or if they thought I shouldn't be doing this or what I'm doing. But now I just kind of, man, I just pin my ears back and I do what I want to do. If I want to wheel off of the stage onto a table, it's what I do now. And I love it. And I just want to inspire other people. And I feel like me being in a wheelchair reaches out to a whole core group of people that I know wrestling's not forgot about, because you see all these great things that wrestlers do for the misfortune, but a whole group of people that feel like, yeah, that's cool, but I could never be a part of it. What I'm saying? Why not?
Well, you're seeing,
Somebody,
yeah,
yeah,
you're seeing a lot of diversity now in the wrestling business. And so you'll see a lot of new stars in the making, some that are not able to walk necessarily. They could be in
that,
the wheelchair too. So they could be in the wheelchair. So um, I think
I'd
the
like to
sky's
be
the
the
limit.
Professor X of this. I'd like to be the Professor X of the wheelchair wrestling world. I feel like, yeah, that's what I would like.
What is your ultimate goal in pro wrestling that you want to, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
Man, I'd like to hold a couple more titles. I'd like to spread some more awareness. I'd like to, because not all handicaps are seen. Maybe I'd like to manage an autistic wrestler, or somebody that's handicapped you can't see, but it's there. Maybe I can help some. I would like to be, my goal is to be the ladder piece for the next person to see things that I never seen, or go a distance that I was not able to go. That's my goal in being here. I need to be that ladder piece to help boost somebody above me. I'd like to be that bridge for somebody. And the connections I make, I would like to pass those blessings along one day.
You have aspirations for working in a big company?
Absolutely. Man, I'd love to. Man, I'm gonna go ahead and say this while we're on here, man. If Joe Kazana watches this, call me up to the NWA. I would love to come down there and manage or speak. I'll even hold the rope, let people in, click tickets, whatever you need me to do. But yeah, I would love that. CZW, NWA, big time wrestling, GCW. I've seen, especially GCW, I've seen them do a lot with, different characters of different backgrounds, and I love it. But yeah, I would love to be on a major platform. WWE, AEW, yeah, that'd be cool. Everybody wants to go there. TNA, that'd be cool. But realistically, I realistically think I could make it to NWA.
Yeah, NWA is just it's been really good the last several years, and to see
Uh,
their momentum go up is incredible. So I could definitely see you make it to the big stage someday, especially with that determination and your positivity. I think you can make it. I really do.
I
Um,
appreciate it.
yeah. So you had mentioned earlier you're a teacher. Do you ever talk with your students about your wrestling career?
Absolutely. Well, I've not been back in the classroom since I lost my leg. I've been on leave, but absolutely, they knew what I wanted to do. Once I started boxing, I teach middle school, seventh grade. So once I started boxing, they were all into it. Mr. Bell, he's fighting this week, and all this. They love it. So when I told them I was going to be world champ, they're all for it. My kids love it. I love my kids, and yeah. So one day I'm going to bring a belt back to the school.
Kids, I believe, are just the future, and the fact that you're able to make a difference in their life is just it's just really amazing to hear, you know?
Yeah, I love it, man. They're yeah, they are the future. They're the little humans, and you just got to be patient. And you got to respect them the way you want to be respected, and it's usually pretty smooth, And if they're interested in something, they'll listen a little bit more. I promise.
What is your favorite part about being a teacher?
Man, I like watching generations go. I've been very blessed to have some of my friends' kids in classes, and that know me outside school. So, man, just once again, just being that ladder piece, and I'm a world civ guy. I love history, so just being that ladder piece to watch people grow, because before you know it, they're gonna be seniors, and then they're walking across stage, and they're coming up, and before I know it, I'll be 40, and then they're gonna be out here in the world, and Yeah.
Yeah, it's just the cycle just continues. It doesn't
Cycle can
stop. Doesn't
not for
stop. Yep.
yeah.
Well, let me ask you, what is it about, giving back and sharing your story that gives you the most joy to help someone else?
Well, because when I needed help, there were people that helped me. When like I said, once again, I was 18 when I lost my legs, wasn't able to walk anymore. And I just signed to play college football, just graduated from high school. Like I was distraught. And it took a village, and I had a lot of homies, a lot of friends reach out to me, spent time with me. They slowed their life down for me so I could catch back up. And so, sometimes you just gotta pass those blessings along. I'm a firm believer in, passing it along, because there's somebody that's, you know, got it worse than you.
Yes.
Mm,
Got to pay it forward.
absolutely.
Well, Keenan, this has been wonderful getting the chance to speak with you. It
Um,
means a lot to me and my listeners. And I just want to say thank you for coming on to Wrestling with Heart. Where can people find out more about you on social media? If you have anything you want to promote,
oh
feel
man,
free.
you can always find me on Facebook. I'm a big Facebook guy. Keenan Bell. I also run a wrestling page, if anybody's interested, called Suplex University, spelled, just like that, Suplex University. We cover MMA, boxing, wrestling, all contact sports, anywhere from independent, collegiate to professional. And that's what we do. Come in, have a good time, no drama. Of course, you can always find me in on TWA Alcoa with those guys. Got a great group of guys that Dusty Sharp runs a great show down there in Knoxville. We run anywhere from Harriman to Jellicoe. I'm gonna start coming into Kentucky, and hopefully, man, you start seeing more bookers book me, and you never know where I might end up, man.
Yeah. Well, this has been wonderful, Keenan. Again, thank you so much. And you're more than welcome to come back.
My man, I appreciate you so much, Stanley. Man, big fan of your show, Wrestling with Heart. Once again, it's an honor being on here. Watched the show for a long time. Love watching you grow. Love watching your fan base grow, man. Man, can't wait to see you again, man.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks again.
Awesome, Stanley. You have a good night, man.
You too.
Awesome.
This is Wrestling with Heart. I hope you found this podcast to be informative and entertaining. If you did, please hit the subscribe button and look out for the next edition.